Good morning, everyone. Just quick reminders before that we get started with our session. Everyone is going to be in listen-only mode. We have the chat window that you can ask the questions, and we encourage that you ask the questions even during the webinar. Then we can take a look at it at the end of the webinar, or we can contact you directly with the answers to your questions. This session is going to be recorded, and we're going to upload it to our YouTube channel, which is the Team Canada Tech Thursday channel. Then definitely you can return back to that channel and take a look at it when needed. Right, we're gonna just wait for a minute or two for everyone to join, and then we're gonna start shortly. Thank you. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another session for Team Canada's Tech Thursdays. My name is Wael Anwesri. I am a sales engineer with WatchGuard Canada, and our session today is going to be about WatchGuard Cloud Visibility. In our agenda today, we're going to be talking about WatchGuard Cloud Visibility and how it's going to be compared to Dimension, which is another logging and reporting server. We're going to explore the WatchGuard Cloud Visibility features and information such as the device summary, the dashboards that's going to be for executive, threat map and policy map, and so on. We're going to take a look at the log manager, log search, and reports, alarms, what are the alarms that's available and how we can make use of them, as well as we're going to take a look at some of the system actions that's available for you once that you add the device WatchGuard Cloud for visibility. And the last topic that we're going to have for today is going to be about some new features that's available for you in WatchGuard Cloud, which is related to the Firebox Cloud Management. Okay, so let's get started here by taking a look at WatchGuard Cloud Visibility versus Dimension. When it comes to Dimension, it's Dimension server. It's our logging and reporting server. It's something that you need to install on your own server. You have an image, which is VHD or OVA that you can download and install. It's a virtual visibility and management solution that once that's been installed, you can point your firewalls there. All the logs going to be sent to this Dimension logging and reporting server. You can go back to the logs. You can take a look at the threats and also generate reports of the traffic as needed. When it comes to the installation, you can install it on a VMware or you can install it on a Hyper-V. And the whole process is going to take around 10-15 minutes once that you do the installation. In one of these versions, you're going to add the IP address, the admin password, and then definitely start pointing the firewalls to this server. But this is not our topic for today. I just wanted you to know about it. You will notice that there are similarities when it comes to the dashboards and comes to the information that's being collected. But today's topic, it's about WatchGuard Cloud Visibility. One of the things in here, definitely both of them, WatchGuard Cloud Visibility and Dimension on premises, both of them, they are included with basic security and total security. You don't need to pay extra for that. But one thing here to keep in mind that when it comes to WatchGuard Cloud Visibility, there's a difference in the retention period. So if you get basic security, you're going to get 1 day retention period. If you're going to go with the total security, it's going to be 30 days. Both of them, they have hundreds of dashboards and reports. We're going to take a look at that shortly. We have the log search rate and the time to run reports. Definitely, you will notice that it's being accelerated and fast because using AWS instances in there. For the one that it's running on your own server, sometimes if you save the information for a long time, let's say 6 months or a year, so you have a lot of disk space, but you don't have enough RAM, sometimes it's going to be very slow to pull the report. So something to keep that in mind. Definitely, it's cloud hosted. The infrastructure cost is going to be not available because it's it's in the cloud. You don't need to install a server for it. The auto scaling, the multi-tier, multi-tenant, it's a plus when it comes to the cloud. We have a lot of alerts and notification with advanced alert system included. We're going to take a look at that. And there are some other information here that's been added in the WatchGuard Cloud Visibility, that it is either not available in Dimension premises, or that it's available with something else called Dimension Command, which is usually a feature that is included with Total Security. So other things that it's available for you, like the device health, the license status, the policy usage report. This is very important, especially if you are redesigning your network. The search engine report, the top level view of the security statistics, and the separation of the customer data. Definitely, this is an added value feature that's available for you with WatchGuard Cloud Visibility. All right. So next, we're going to explore this WatchGuard visibility features and WatchGuard Cloud itself. But first, we're going to take a look on how to add the device and what are the steps that's required to add this device to the WatchGuard Cloud visibility. So one of the important things definitely is to have access to the help center. I just wanted to point this out. So the steps for adding the device so that it can be seen by WatchGuard Cloud, so we have the visibility in the cloud. It's available under WatchGuard Cloud in here, Firebox Management in WatchGuard Cloud. And then we have something called Add Locally Managed Firebox to WatchGuard Cloud. It has all the information, including for what you need to do before that you begin, such as that you have activated the firewall, definitely, in WatchGuard port account. The Firebox has current Total Security or Basic Security Suite subscription, and the Firebox has the latest feature key synchronized already, and you have the administrative access to the Firebox. Otherwise, you will not be able to do the following steps. So definitely this is a good place to start whenever that you're adding this to the WatchGuard Cloud. So let's take a look here. If I just, I have the device that's being activated. I've been using it for some time, but now I decided to add it to WatchGuard Cloud for visibility. I can go here under my WatchGuard, and I'm going to go to WatchGuard Cloud. One of the things, if you're a service provider, is to keep an attention, or here pay attention to which account that you want this device to be shown under. Here I am at the top level. I have multiple different clients here, different accounts. One of the things that you will notice once that you activate that firewall, if you don't see it when you add the device into a specific client or to a specific account here in the WatchGuard Cloud, it means maybe it's not allocated yet, right? So one of the things that need to be done on the highest level, I'm going to go here to inventory. We have something called Firebox allocation, and I'm going to go to unallocated firewalls. The one that I'm looking for, I know the serial number for it. So it shows here, it's a Firebox V, small, and I want to allocate this one to WatchGuard sales. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna select that from the account here. Expiration, I'm gonna put it to never, right? And now if I go to allocation, and I'm gonna go to WatchGuard Sales Canada team. So you will notice here now these are all the ones that I can deal with. One of them is the Firebox V2, right? So the next step, definitely, I have to go under that level. I am under WatchGuard Sales Canada, and I'm gonna go under Configure Devices, and I'm going to add that device in here. If you notice, it's not showing in here. So it was allocated, but I didn't do anything with it yet. So I'm going to add the device. and it will show up in here. Again, as I said, if you don't see it in here, it means that it was not allocated. It's either that you need to allocate it from the higher level to the specific account of the clients or to your own account. So you also notice here on this side of the screen that if you have Fire cluster, then you have to add a Fire cluster using this. You cannot add, each member separately, right? So you have to do that from here. But for now, we're gonna add this Firebox V small. Okay, you selected the device and with the serial number, you want to add it. Yes, I want to add it. Once that I do this, it will give me something called a verification code in here. I'm gonna copy that code and I'm gonna go to my Firebox V that I already have access to it in here, and I'm gonna turn on one thing in here. It's called under setup, WatchGuard Cloud, and I wanna enable WatchGuard Cloud. So this is the step that's required here on the side of this side of the firewall. Right? So I'm gonna save this configuration. All right, I'm gonna save the configuration to the firewall. And that's the moment that it's gonna ask for the verification code that we had from WatchGuard Cloud. So I'm gonna paste that in here. I'm gonna say, okay, configuration was saved successfully. Okay, I am done. Right, definitely at the beginning, once that I see it in here, if I go to monitor devices, I will see that that specific device, Firebox V, it wasn't connected yet, never connected, right? So you have to wait for a couple of minutes here until the configuration has been applied, and we will see that it's going to be showing in here. Okay, so after a few minutes, you'll notice that the firewall will show that it is connected, and you can see from here the status of the firewall. So if it is connected, it means that from both sides, the cloud was able to see that firewall. And the configuration that we done on the firewall was okay. You will see also the other status, like for example, not connected. It means this firewall was connected in one point of time, but now it's not connected for any reasons, maybe including that it doesn't have internet connection for now. This one, it's never connected. So it means that we added it here in the cloud, but on the other side, maybe the configuration was not done, maybe the firewall is not connected to the internet. One thing that I just wanted to add in here about the verification code, you will notice that sometimes you might not need to do that step. So if the firewall has a TPM, which is a Trusted Platform Module, and you are running a firewall operating system, which is 12.5.3 or higher, then you wouldn't need to do that. And as you can see in here, so if you have anything like T20, T40, T80, M370, and so on, that's where you don't need to put the verification code. If it's an older model like T10, T30, and so on, doesn't have a TPM chip, then you will need to do the verification code. Going back here, we're gonna take a look at what we have. So you will see the information that's related to the name, the model, the version of the operating system. I'm running 12.7b in here. The serial number, the IP address, which is the public IP address in here. This firewall, which is a Firebox V small, it's running in a private cloud. So you see public IP address in there, and also the uptime of how long that it was up. You will also see the total security suite that has been added to this firewall, and also the device status, the CPU usage, you will see all the information that's such as the botnet detection, the web blocker, intrusion prevention, the malware, also the authenticated user, and the most active policies, which sometimes is going to be useful for you in case if you are redesigning your network, you want to know if there's any kind of unneeded policy in there. All right. One of the things also you will need to notice that at the top, you will have, today, yesterday, the last 24 hours, 7 days, 14 days, and this month. So as we said, for Social Security, you'll have the information up to 30 days. You can go with custom in case that what you need to see. I'm gonna jump here into another firewall, so you'll see also other information. This is M370. One of the things you'll notice, you have to wait sometimes for a couple of minutes, depending on what are you trying to look for and what are the information that is going to be uploaded here in the cloud. Going back to the firewall also, it depends on some of the things that's related to the under logging. If you go to the performance statistics, external interface, and VPN bandwidth statistics, this is a good thing to be checked. The security service statistics also another thing that you need to check in here. As well as that, you know that for the logs, it's going to upload the things that's denied, right? If you have a specific policy that you want more visibility into, then please go inside that policy under properties, logging, right, and set the log message for the allowed packets that under that criteria, for example, HTTP, HTTPS, and so on, right? And that applies for both, in the older days that when we had the only dimension, and now it's going to be visibility in the cloud. So other things that we're going to talk about in here under the dashboard. Executive dashboard, this is where you're going to get started. You will see here we have the information about the top countries. And one of the things to keep in mind that this one is going to give you visibility related to the pattern of the traffic that you have. In your network. So if there is a service that's not set up on the firewall, definitely you're not going to expect that you will see the information in here. Also is to see if everything as normal as it's supposed to be, or according to the baseline of what you have in your network. You can see the top domains, for example, of what we are accessing, the top URL categories, the top destination, application. For example, here I have YouTube, how many bytes that's being used, and the hits for each one of them. The top application categories in here, for example, we are using network protocols. That's the most that's being used on this firewall. And any of these is clickable. So if you click on it, you can see a specific, or it's going to filter on that specific information. Another thing that at the top here, you have the PDF that you can download at any time. And once that we open it, we can send this one via email to, for example, the management or another admin. So it will show you all these information that we talked about in there. So that's going to be an easy access whenever that you need this. We will share later on when it comes to the report on how you schedule a report on a specific time. The security dashboard, this is where you're going to see all the information about the top blocked sites, clients, destination. So all these kind of blocking or denying. This is the security dashboard, as well as the subscription dashboard. So everything that you have in basic security and total security is going to show up in here. Sometimes you will see that there is no denied request, but you have a proof here of how many requests that it's being scanned or blocked, right? For example, for viruses here, we have 15 that's being total scanned. We didn't find any viruses in there. Also, the other subscription services like the IPS, botnet detection, DLP, reputation enabled defense, and so on. Like, for example, here, you cannot see the web blocker because I didn't configure that on any of the policies, so definitely you will not see it. Threat map, this is another place that you can go to, and also to show to the other administrators or to the management of what are the type of attacks and who's attacking us from the outside. So most of the attacks that I have in here for this month was like from China. We have some here that it's coming from Canada, from Australia. And if I click on any one of them, you will see here the protocol itself and what's the IP address that was trying to attack us. So also, let's see here, going to Canada, it has, more specific information. So I can see exactly this is coming from Montreal or Mississauga. And if I click on it, it will show you the information about where the attack is coming from. So it's going to give you a more visibility of who's attacking us from outside. For Firewatch, it is the place that you go to see if there is something out of the normal. So here you can see the top sources, the top destination, and this is going to be different depending on how many devices that you have. This is just in a demo environment, a lab environment. You're not going to see a lot of information in here, but if it is hundreds or thousands of users, you will see here, hey, okay, what we have, for example, if I go under applications, right? Mainly here it is YouTube, right? If I see the top source in here and it's using 10 gig, for example, and I filter on that connection and find out that they are using specific protocol. Like, for example, this is my laptop in here. I can, filter on that, and I can see, oh, there's an 83 meg that it's being used for this one. The same thing, you can see the protocol. Mainly here is HTTP, HTTPS, and TCP, which is expected in my network. If I see any other protocol, top protocols that it is not familiar to me, then I can take a look at it and find out what's going on. The policy map, this is the last thing that we have here in the dashboard. And it's going to give you a visibility of visualization of all the policies that is being configured on your network, as well as the direction of the traffic. How we can read this, so as you can see here from the top, is the interface in. So the traffic is coming from which interface, the policy that passed that traffic or denied the traffic, the disposition, so you can see allow or deny, and you can see the interface going out. So there's a lot of communication that's happening in here, and it's being allowed between the trust network and the firebox. Also, I can see that I have the external network. I have two connections at Bell and Rogers. I can see both these connections and how many connections are there. Again, it's your sometimes just you take a quick look at it and find out if there is something out of the ordinary in there. Like, for example, for DNS traffic, I could expect that DNS traffic, you will see a lot of multiple connections in there, but it's not supposed to be a high volume when it comes to the usage of the bandwidth. And any of these, it can be clicked, and you can filter depending on that. You can see the number of the flows and how many connections for that period of time. I can go only for 1 day, last 24 hours, and can see that information. And at the top, there's other things that you can do. It's bytes or connections. And you can see here, for example, the denied one, unhandled packets. This is one of the things that you can keep an eye on. It means if it's coming from the external, I don't need to worry about that because I am blocking everything from outside except specific type of traffic. But for the internal traffic going out, for the unhandled traffic, I might, want to see that and see what is the direction that it is using. This means that I have a specific application internally trying to go out, and maybe I forgot to have the policy for it, right? Again, also at the top here, I can see, different things that I can do with it if I want to see, depending on the subscription services, right? So mainly I'm using the HTTPS proxy. I have TCP, DNS. If you have the different VLANs, it's going to show up in here. I can see depending on the application control, right? So I have a lot of traffic that it is for the internal network and network protocols. There is media streaming, some of it's social. I have voice over IP. So even if you run this without taking a lot of actions at the beginning, it will give you a visibility of what are the type of traffic that you have in your network. So this is when it comes to the dashboards. There are other things in here that we're going to go over quickly, such as, for example, the web. If I want to see the most active client, okay, the most active client and the IP address of that client, the most popular domains that I am going to. Sometimes this information is going to be useful for you also for what are the other type of policy or traffic shaping, traffic management that you want to do. You have the web audit, so we have some traffic related to search engine, the collaboration. And when we go under traffic, I can see the packet filter traffic. In this scenario, I can see the proxy traffic with activity trend. I can change that one to depending on the source, depending on the destination, by hits. And again, as I said at the top here, you can download this report at any time. When it comes to depending on the service, I can see the application usage in here. I have a lot of traffic that it is being as YouTube. Um, we saw earlier that there's a lot of scans when it comes to viruses and intrusions, but there was nothing that has been stopped. It was clean traffic. But like, for example, if I go under reputation, enable defense, I can see more information as well as the botnet detection. And I can see here, depending on the source IP scanned, how many that it's being blocked, destination IP that is being blocked. I can see the blocked botnet sites. It's going to give you the specific IP address in there. Other than the services, I can take a look at the device itself. I can see the denied packets. I can see the authentication. This is an important information. If there is, for example, I have a specific AP here that it has a VPN tunnel back to the firewall, and I can see the IP address of that tunnel and it's when it's being authenticated. The audit trail is also a very important one to see, the admin and when they logged in, what's the IP address of that admin. You can download that with CSV, right? So that if you want to feed it to another system or send it to another person. The DHCP lease activity, also something that's been added. It wasn't available on Dimension. That you can see the DCP lease activity, and I can see, like, for example, from here that I have a voice over IP phone that is being connected, and I can see when the first time that it start using that IP address, and also the policy usage, right, for each one of them. I can see that at the top here, this is the most used one, but I have a lot of others that it is not that much used. Maybe I can reinvestigate these, especially if I waited for a month or 2 months, and I can disable them and see, if there is any effect on the system. Under detail, we can see the details of the information that we saw, the summary of it previously, if you want to see in more details about the denied packets, and you can download the CSV file for it. Also, we have for the compliance, this is related to the audit trail, right? So I can have the audit trail. I can download that PDF file. If there's an auditor and they want to see this information, then they can have this information being sent to them. One important one is the health. So I can see the interface summary. I can see how much is being sent by interface. Let's say, for example, I can change this one to the external, to the trusted, and I want to see the traffic. I can do it by bytes, by rate, by packets, depending on which one that it makes more sense. And I can download that information if needed. Also the SD-WAN. So if you have multiple interfaces that's been set up, I have one that is set up here is the bell. The other one it's down for at the moment, but it's being configured, right? And you can see the status for that as well. The last thing that we have in here is the per client report. And the per client report, it is just kind of a filter of the data that is related to a specific username or a host. Here I have my laptop. with a specific IP address. And once that I generate it in here, I can see, all the information that's related to that laptop. Or for example, what are the domains, most popular domains that I visited, the application usage. So this is specific to that one. And you will see more information in here, that the more of the logs or the logging that is being enabled in the policies, and the more of these, total security services that you configured in your firewall. Right. So this is all the information that we have here. Again, as I said, this is just to give you the visibility of what's going on in your network, and it allow you to pinpoint sometimes where the issue or maybe something is out of the ordinary. Another thing that we want to talk about in here is related to the logs. For sure, this is going to be making more sense whenever that you want to search for something within the last month. So you can come here to the log manager, for example, and you can see all the information. You can have drop-down menu here. You can see all the logs, or only that it's related to the traffic logs, or maybe the events. And you can see, that you can change up to 100 entries per uh, uh, page in here. Also, we have the log search that you can use. But one thing that I want to note in here, that at the top that you can see something that's being added is called time slice analysis, that it will give you an indication about the amount of logs, right? That is being the average rate of logs per minute that is being received, the total log count so far, the type of these logs that's being sent to from the firewall to the cloud, like traffic logs, event logs, or statistics logs, or alarm logs. If some of them, like statistics logs and alarm logs, is not being set on the firewall, definitely you're not going to see them in here. On the log search, this is where you can do your search, and they made it easier now that when you click here, right, and press space bar, you can see that you have specific argument that you can look for. Like, for example, I want to see here everything that is sourced from a specific IP address. So from my laptop, you can see all this information, and you can download that in a CSV file and take a look at it, or send it to another person, or maybe use it in another system. Another thing that is related to this definitely is related to the reporting. So if I go under administration, I can see here there's other information that related to scheduled reports. I can add from here a scheduled report. Let's say this one, firewall 1, and I can put the description. This is for test now, and then it's going to be rated to the firebox. There's an option to have all the fireboxes under the specific client or specific account, or maybe individual one. So I want only for M370, and you can check from here the things that we talked about, like I want to see the executive summary, the executive dashboard, maybe the traffic, maybe related to the services, the application usages, and advanced malware, which is the APT. Again, if this one is not configured or it's not used on the firewall, you will not see this information. And I want to see things that's related to denied packets, for example, interface summary and SD-WAN, and then I'm going to click next. And then there is the frequency. Do you want this one to be generated and sent daily, weekly, monthly? You can run it now. It depends on what you're looking for. Then you have the day, the start time, the time zone, and the language that is being used. Then we have the recipient here, right? I'm gonna send it to myself. You can add me as a recipient. If you are, the administrator of this account, then you can add yourself in there, or you add more as you go. All right. I'm gonna click next. This is the summary of this specific report, and I'm gonna save the report. and we see that it's being added in there. It's going to be sent on the frequency that you set. Right, so I think this is kind of a quick overview of what you can do with the visibility in the cloud. There's a lot of information that definitely it will give you a better understanding of how your firewall is reacting to different type of attacks. There's also, some things that it's related to the alerts in here that you can set some alerts. If you go under rules, you can add a rule in here, give it a name for the alert. You can put the notification source as devices, and then the notification type that it's related to the device itself. For example, the device alarm or the device being deleted or the device being registered in the cloud, and it can send you, a notification about that as well using, for example, email. I want to send all the alert. You can give it a subject and put the recipient email address. So this is more about the notification and the alarms that you have within WatchGuard Cloud. Another point that I just wanted to add in here for these devices, that the firewalls that they are, the logging and reporting happening in the cloud, but they are managed locally. There's a couple of things and commands or kind of system actions, we call them, that you can do. One of them, if you come here under monitor of the device, you can see that you can reboot the device. And I will show you another one here that it's not upgraded yet. You can also upgrade the firmware from here. These are, there's two places you can do this. You can do that on the level of the firewall itself, or you go to the higher level and you can go under configure devices. And you can see here kind of a summary of the device settings. For example, if you want to see all the devices under your account, if they are logging or not, the serial number, the version of the operating system in there, as well as the firmware upgrade. So you can see here that you have the firmware upgrade. It will show you the devices, which one is ready to be upgraded, which one is up to date, and which one that it has to be manually upgraded because this one never connected in here. And you can definitely, it's going to be a very helpful and useful feature whenever that you do the upgrade. And the upgrade, you can do it immediately, or you can schedule it for another time. Another thing, if you see here, if I go in the level of the device itself, under configure, I can do a backup. And this backup is happening on the device itself. It's not in the cloud. So if I say I want to add a backup now, yeah, for this specific firewall, and this is the date or time stamp on it. If I click add, it will show you here there is a backup in progress. It's been successful, and you'll see the information is being updated in here. And later on, if you want, you can restore this specific uh, action, so you can restore the configuration of this firewall. So these are, when it comes to the system actions, what you can do if you just doing a local configuration management of the firewall, but you are having the visibility in the cloud. Right, the next topic that we have, it's related to the management of the firewall in the cloud. This is something that is being released this year, that we are doing it in the stages, and as we go, we're going to add more features when it comes to the configuration. But as we can see in here, I wanted to share with you when it comes to the help center. If you go under WatchGuard Cloud, Firebox Management in WatchGuard Cloud, you will see all the information that is related to it. One of them is the quick start here. So before that, you want to set up, right? What are the things that it is covered, not covered? And I will share with you another knowledge base that has that information. But here, what I wanted to highlight is the requirements, right? So to add the Firebox to the cloud managed device, must run 12.5.4 or higher. Once that it connects, it will upgrade immediately to the one that it's needed for the management in the cloud. Another thing that Once that you decide going into this route and manage it by the cloud, then you cannot manage it locally, right? And it requires a reset to the factory default of that specific firewall. You cannot, some people ask this question, can I actually manage it locally and at the same time manage it in the cloud? You cannot do that. It has to be one or the other. Another thing is that you cannot migrate the existing configuration from locally managed firewall to the cloud. So the feature, definitely it will make more sense if you have clients, new clients, and they are happy with all the features that we have now in the Firebox management in the cloud. It's a new project, so you don't need to do the configuration again, or that you tested this environment to say that this is easier when it comes to the management, everything, the management and the logging and the reporting is going to be under the WatchGuard cloud. You can actually do that configuration. Now, one of the things that also I wanted to share with you is this knowledge base. It highlights all the things that is upcoming features, right? So currently, some of the features that it's not supported, the management of the configuration of Firebox B and Firebox Cloud, the configuration of devices with the standard support only, so it has to be basic or total. The SSL VPN, it's not supported currently. We are working on that. It's currently support IKE version 2. The active passive firewall cluster, certificate upload, the security services like spam blocker, access portal, network discovery, and some more complex network features like traffic management, quality of services, and so on. So some of the advantages of using the Firebox management in the cloud now, especially if it's a new project, new client, that you will see that it's going to take much faster when it comes to the configuration. You can do the configuration ahead of time. You can use templates to apply it to different devices under your control. So going back here to WatchGuard Cloud, I have a couple of devices that being set up. I'm not going to go through the details of adding it. If you want, definitely we can do another session with more details in the future once that we have more of the features that is being covered in there. Otherwise, you have the access to the quick setup under the help center. I have a couple of devices here. If I have to go to under this specific account, I have the T20W and the T17 there that is already being set up. You will see that once that I go under configure, there is a little bit of difference, right? We have the device settings, we have the device configuration, we can see the deployment history, and also we can change the device password as needed. The other information, it's available for you in here, and you can notice also there's another difference that it's not only the devices being logging in here, but also we have the cloud management. I can remove the cloud management and let it be only sending the logs to the cloud, and I can do the reports that we saw earlier. Then I can manage it locally in case if I don't want to use the Firebox cloud management anymore. If I go here under device configuration, for example, this is one of the reasons why we don't have the migration path from one that it's managed now using WSAM or WebUI to the one that is the cloud, because even the way of the management is different. We try to make it easier for you to understand it and also to do the configuration itself. So from looking at this dashboard, you can see here much easier now. What are the security services that is being set up on this firewall when it comes to the content scanning, the features that we have in total security, the exception, the list of exception, if geolocation is being done or not, if the content filtering is turned on, if they have any kind of HTTPS or TLS decryption is being done, the configuration when it comes to the VPN, the firewall rules. This is also another reason that now you will notice when you set this, you have 3 levels. You have the first run, the core policies, and the last run. And this way that you can, for example, as a service provider, of creating a template on the higher level that for the first run policies of blocking, specific services that you think that it is up to your security policy requirement, and then you will have a more specific one that is going to be the core or the last run policies. Another change you will notice here that you can see the aliases, you can see static NAT that you can add in here. If I go inside the firewall policies, for example, another difference is that before you need to have even that is the source and destination is the same in the policy, but the protocol is different. You will have to have one policy per protocol. But in this scenario here, you can actually set what's the source and destination, and you can have multiple traffic types within that policy, and that's going to reduce the total number of policies that you have in the firewall itself. If I want to add a policy, it's going to tell you what's the direction. Is it outbound, inbound, and you can also have a custom. Maybe you need to create one between two internal networks, and then you're going to be first run or the last run if you have exception. Otherwise, it's going to be a core policy. So let's say this is outbound. I'm going to click next in here, and I'm going to give it a name. So this is HTTP for HR, for example, and I'm going to allow that type of traffic. In here, I can put the web traffic, port 80 and 43. I can edit that and add different ports in case that I have different other type of traffic. I can add the traffic type from here as well, and then I can set what's the source and destination. And then what are the security services that I want to apply to this policy, like content filtering, geolocation, content scanning, and so on. Because these services being set on another place, and then you can reuse them in the policies as needed. So you can see it's going to be much faster and a different way of doing the configuration in this scenario. Another thing, like for example, if I want to set a branch office a VPN, I can come here, I can click on add VPN, I can give it a name, and then I say, for example, this is between two WatchGuard cloud managed fireboxes, or it's going to a locally managed firebox or third-party endpoint. Then I'm going to define the endpoints. If I have two firewalls in here like T20 and T70 under this account, then I'm going to say the endpoint A is coming from the T20W and is going to this T70. So this is going to be much more less steps when it comes to the configuration. VPN test for now, and we're going to click next. This is just, I'm going to show you here a couple of examples. Then the configure the networks for the endpoints that's going to be used to connect. I can put the external network in here. I can put a specific IP address that it is for the two endpoints. So as you can see, when it comes to the steps, it's much easier and it's going to be faster when it comes to the total number of steps for each one of them. Also, you can see that it's related to the authentication. I can see here if I want to do the configuration for the Firebox database. Authentication portal is not available yet. We have also the authentication for the domain, NTP server. If I want to add routes, it's pretty easy. I can come here and add the route that I need. And if I go to any of these services, for example, if I am looking here at IPS, right? I can go inside the services themselves. Some of them, they have options, some others, they don't. One that have options that you see here, drop down menu. I can go to the intrusion prevention services and I can do the configuration. Is it full scan? Is it fast scan? The action that's for it. If I want to add here more block sites, if I want to add more block ports, that can be done. So you can do it at the higher level, as we can say, and then you can use it as needed. All right, and also when it comes to the deployment history, this is a very useful thing that you can use in here, that you can see when the configuration is being deployed. You can put a description whenever that you save this configuration, and it will give you an indication of what happened in there, if it's successful or not. And I can come here and I can view the configuration report for that specific version of the configuration of what is being turned on that configuration. And if for example, when it comes to the content filtering, the firewall itself, and so on. All right. So the last thing that we have here is related to the device password. So this is where you can set the status password and admin password if you want to change them for the configuration. All right. So that was a very quick overview about how the configuration is going to look like when it comes to management of the firewall in the cloud. Definitely, we can do a more in-depth session later on so that we can see what are the other services that's going to be there. We can focus on a complete scenario about the VPN and also the different type of configuration. But the last thing that I just wanted to highlight here also is related to the networking. This is how it's going to look like now. I can see the external network, my internal network. It's kind of a zone now. You can view the associated interfaces for that associated with the external, for example, if it is using DHCP or not. And if I go back here, I can see all the interfaces and the networks that belong to it. For example, here, the interface for it's not being used. If there's any embedded wireless or wireless controller in it, or like a T20W, because it has also wireless, then I can see the wireless configuration in here as well. All right, so this is all what we have for this session, where we took a look at the WatchGuard visibility, the different tools that's available for you, so that at least to visualize what are the type of traffic and how the features, the security feature that you set up, it's working. We also took a look at, or a quick look, or a quick overview on the management of the firewall in the cloud, which is we're going to have a lot of updates that is coming in the coming months for more features that's available in there. I hope that this session was useful. I'm going to wait for a couple of minutes here if you have any questions so that we can answer the questions. Please type them in the chat window. Even if we ran out of time, definitely I will reach out directly to you and answer these questions. Thank you.